It was good. It was really cool.
Yeah, that's fun, man. I tell you what, JW, man, slinging that stuff over the bar, he wasted no time.
Like it was nothing. Yeah, he
Nothing.
got first place by a long shot.
Yeah, it was good, man. I was like, holy
Yeah.
crap, look at him go.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. That's awesome. So you're doing good? You having a good day?
Yeah. Well, we missed church this morning because we were like the kids were just crazy and we just couldn't get them in the car in time. So that's Sunday's always better when we make it to church.
Yeah,
But
always, always. Yeah. No, I actually this afternoon I went to my two of my children, actually three of my children, I have four. Three of them love scary movies. We like grew up on scary movies. So one of my children lives in Vegas. She's a dispatcher for the Boulder City Police Department. And so obviously she couldn't come because I'm out here in Alabama, but the other two that like scary movies, we went and watched a scary movie this afternoon. So it
oh,
was kind of
cool.
fun just hanging out with the kiddos.
Yeah, yeah, for
So,
sure.
but anyway, hey, so I do want to get in, since this is about you, I do want to get into some of your personal stuff, the cancer
Okay.
stuff, how
Yeah.
you overcame that. Uh, you good with that?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. I always like to make sure first before I start asking questions that you're uncomfortable with.
Right. Yeah.
So,
No, I think one of the purposes of me going through stuff like that is to help other people.
well, yeah, and that was one of the main things with me is that I mean, you went through that trial, you overcame it, and look what you're doing now. I mean, it's a process, and that strength comes from within, right? Like we all say, "Hey, I'll fight," but will you?
Right.
Right? You never know until you're in it. And
Yeah.
I had a similar situation, not with cancer, but I was literally shot on my doorstep. So
Really?
yes, I had my son. My son was 15 years, my baby boy. He's going to be 21 in August. He was 15 years old at the time, just got his learner permit. We had gone grocery shopping. We came home. I was My wife had just had a full hysterectomy. Uh about 5 days, 3 days before this happened. She was at home when we went to the store, and I thought maybe she had left the door unlocked. So I just went to the door to open the door so that we could bring the groceries in. The door was locked. I turned around to get the keys from my son, who had just drove us from the grocery store, and a guy had a gun at my chest. Now, I have a concealed carry permit. I
Yeah.
carry. So I turn around, this gun is right in my chest, right? And I'm like, oh crap. And he's like, give me all you got. And the only thing I can think of is this kid's going to kill me, but my son is going to live. That was the only thought that went through my mind, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of turned my hip so he can see. I'm going for my wallet because I carry in my back. I'm going to pull my wallet out. He pulls the trigger. He did
Wait,
not
why?
I don't know. He did not have a round in the chamber, thank goodness. So I immediately go from wallet to gun. I'm pulling my weapon. He gets one in the chamber, and I turn sideways like this, and he gets two shots off. One went into my gut and came out my rib cage, and the other one grazed me, and then I put three in his chest. And I'm telling you right now, that was
Wow.
the best day and the worst day of my life because I didn't kill him. Thank goodness he did not die.
Yeah.
He is paralyzed from like the armpits down.
Yeah.
But when I shot him, I was literally falling to the ground. And I'm now on the ground. The kid is like, at the time, I didn't realize it was just a reaction because of his spinal cord being severed, but he was reaching out like he was reaching for the gun. So I yell to my 15-year-old son because I'm on the ground. I'm like, get that gun and clear it because I've trained him in weapons. So I tell him, get that gun and clear it. So he picks up the gun, he clears it. My wife comes out at this point. She hears the gunfire. She comes out. Uh, she is an absolute mess, which I can understand. I mean, she just 3 days before had a full hysterectomy.
Yeah.
She's, all this stuff's going on. And she's losing her mind, right? She's like
Yeah.
losing her mind. And my son takes care of her. He controls her, he gets her to calm down a little bit. And then the paramedics show up. The paramedics show up, they come to me, and my immediate instinct is I'm okay. Because at this point, like, okay, he didn't get along. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm not, I have no arterial spray. I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
So I look at the paramedic and I go, you need to go take care of him. I hurt him bad. Go get him. So they go over there. My wife starts to lose it again. She's like, that's the guy who shot my husband, right? She's losing her mind. And I'm like, babe, it's okay. I'm gonna be fine. He's not. They need to take care of him.
Right.
So they do that. So all said and done, when it all ends up, here's what I learned. I learned that number one, I'm a much more forgiving man than I was 10 years ago. Because 10 years ago, I'd have killed that son of a bitch. Just saying.
Hmm.
But at this point in my life, with Christ in my life, all those things, all I could think about was, I want him to live, right?
Yeah.
And the second thing I learned, and you can learn this in no other way, is I know what kind of man I've raised. He was
Yeah.
15 years old, but I know what kind of man I raised, and I could not see that in any other way than seeing that. The way he reacted under that type of stress, with his
Right.
dad shot on the ground, his mom in hysterics, and he controlled the situation like
Yeah.
a pro. And so I can look at it as, hey, I was robbed on my doorstep, or I can look at it as, hey, the Lord showed me some great lessons about who I am as a man and who my son is as a man.
Yeah.
And so
That's
that's
amazing.
how I look at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good. I mean, even the whole trial process was good because the I went to the district attorney and I was like, listen, it was a 19-year-old kid.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, when I walked out of the hospital, because I walked out that same day, they did a CAT scan, there was no major artery damage, everything was
Yeah.
good. I walked out that same day, his entire family was outside the emergency room. And when I got to the car, my son-in-law picked me up. When I got out to the car, um, his mother walked up to me and she said, I am so sorry that he did this to you. And my immediate response was just to hug her. And I hugged her and I said, listen, my prayers are with him. I want him to live. I did not want to go down this route. This is just the situation that was presented. And I am so sorry that it happened this way. And she said, he was such a good kid until about 3 months ago. He got involved with some bad people. He got into drugs. He started doing some crazy stuff. And we are just so sorry. And I was like, just know he's in our prayers. So I went to the district attorney and I said, listen, I do not want this crossroads in this kid's life to be the point where he spends it. Because in Alabama, if you commit a crime with a gun, it's a minimum guaranteed 20 years.
Mm.
I said, I do not want this to be the crossroads that ruins his life. I want this to be the crossroads that fixes his life. And if he's
Yeah.
willing to admit what he did and move forward, I'm willing to go to bat for him with the judge. And the district attorney said, hey, we have something in Alabama called a youthful offender. If you're under 21 and you've had no criminal history, the judge can have leniency on sentencing. And I was like, well, let's do that. So they went, he listened to him, he gave him the uh what did I just say? He gave him the leniency. So
Youthful
the
something.
youthful offender, he gave him youthful
Yeah.
offender. He gave him that, and then at the sentencing, the kid, his family, they were so apologetic and so grateful that he didn't even have to go to jail. He had probation for, I think it was 10 years probation, and he has to go to school. He has to go to some type of technical school to learn a trade and
Mm,
check in. And I was like, that is what I want. I want this to be the turning point in his life where it makes him a better man for the rest of his life. He was in
right.
a bad situation, things happen. So it all in all, it was a blessing.
Right.
And that's how we have to look at tragedy, as a blessing,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, and that's one of the things that draws me to you because you had a tragedy, but you turned it into a blessing, turned it into some great stuff, right?
Yeah. I feel like God
So,
takes what was, yeah, he takes what was meant for evil and he turns it for good. That's a song. I didn't say
yeah.
that. I didn't write that. Yeah, God takes what was meant for evil and he uses it for good. And I think that's really true.
Yeah, when you're in the right frame of mind to receive it, right? You got to be
Right.
open to receive it. Because you could
Yeah.
turn that 50 million ways. You could be bitter, angry,
Mm-hmm.
all those things. This son of a gun, robbed me of my
Right.
doorstep. He put my child in danger. Or you can try, and I always try to look at the silver lining. I always try to look at, okay, Lord, what lesson do you have in mind for me today?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but anyway, that's my story. But we're going to tell your story. You ready to start?
Yeah.
All right, here we go in three, two. Welcome to the Work Hard People's Podcast. Hope everybody out there is having a great day. Remember, I'm James, the old guy. We have the beautiful Valerie Valentino, who I like to call the powerlifting princess. That's how you can find her on Instagram. And she does lift some good stuff. I'm sure you all remember her from our Coach's Corner, which is fantastic. But Valerie has a great story just about overcoming things and, you know, just in it to win it, and I love it. So, Valerie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
That's awesome. And you texted me earlier. You said you guys were creating some new flavors. What are you doing?
Yeah, so we do the cold press juice. I own Jack and Juice. It's a cold press juice company, and we're gonna start doing smoothies. So we're like perfecting these smoothie recipes, and they're so good. I'm so excited. It's gonna be the best smoothies in town.
Now
People are
you're
gonna
excited.
lose
You're
it.
excited. I'm disappointed because I live in Alabama and you're in North Dakota and I can't even taste it.
Yeah, I can't ship a smoothie, unfortunately. It
I
wouldn't
know.
be very good.
No, no. But hey, so you've had some things go on in your life. Number one. Number two, you recently did a strong woman competition, which I saw some
Yep.
videos from. Is cool.
Hmm.
So I'd love to touch on that, but let's dial it back down to the beginning. So you had cancer.
Yes.
What kind of cancer did you have?
I had Hodgkin's lymphoma and
Okay.
it was 22 when I got it.
What was that like? What was it like getting that diagnosis? What went through your mind?
It was crazy. So I was training at a restaurant that I was going to work at. I remember this girl was training me. Her name was Jasmine. And I was standing there, she was talking to me, and I was just standing here like this. And I was like, oh my gosh. And she was like, what? I was like, do you see this? And I was like, I need to go to the bathroom. Hold on. I went to the bathroom. There was like a golf ball in my neck. I just noticed it one day. And everyone was like, oh, it's just a lymph node. You're probably like fighting off something. And I was like, but I'm not fighting off anything. Like, I'm fine. It would get bigger and smaller and bigger and smaller. And I was in the Air Force at the time, so I was trying
I
to be
was in the Air
seen.
Force. Awesome.
Oh, really?
I didn't know. Yeah, that's great. I did not know
Oh,
that
yeah.
about you. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was in the reserve, so I made an appointment on base, but they were booked out really far and they kept
Wait,
trying to
real
like,
quick. Stationed at Minot?
no, I was in Seymour Johnson in North Carolina.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So they kept kind of pushing me off, like, okay, we'll see you in 4 weeks. And I was like, okay. And then they referred me off base, and they're like, that's going to be another 3 weeks and another 3 weeks. And it was just so long. And I remember thinking, I was like, what if this is something serious? Like, what if I have cancer? But I didn't really think I had cancer, but I was like, what if it's something serious? So I went in there and they said they wanted to do a biopsy. And I was like, that seems like a waste of time, but okay. And they did. I remember it hurt really bad. It did not, the numbing stuff
No.
is not good enough.
Huh.
Um, and he told me that I had Hodgkin's lymphoma. He didn't say the word cancer. He just said Hodgkin's lymphoma. And the only reason I even knew what that was is because somebody else mentioned that being a possibility to me, and I looked it up. And then they told me I was going to lose all my hair. And that was the part that really made me sad because I my hair was like really long, and I've been growing it out ever since I had cancer. So that made me really sad. But they told me you're most people survive this cancer. So I wasn't really afraid of dying. They said you're most likely 95% chance you're going to live, but they said it's one of the worst chemotherapies and you're going to lose all your hair. So
Yeah, I saw some of the pictures on your Facebook without your hair, and you were still beautiful, so don't sweat it.
thanks. I think now I think so, but then I didn't. I wish I could go back and like give myself some more confidence.
So let me ask you this. What did that do to you mentally? Did it drive you and make you stronger? Or I'm one that believes that the power to overcome things comes from within.
Mm-hmm.
We either have the strength inside or we don't. And those that don't typically wither on the vine because they're not willing to fight. What was it in you that said, "Hey, I'm going to fight this, I'm going to beat this, and I'm going to go kick ass"?
It wasn't even like an option to not do it. I didn't even consider not doing it. I was just like, I'm going to do this. One part that was really hard was that not many young people have cancer. So I felt kind of alone in that sense. Like I'd go get chemotherapy and I was the youngest one there. And I also was lifting at the time too. I was actually getting ready to do my first powerlifting competition. I
Oh,
signed up and then I found out I had cancer. And at first I was like, I'm going to do it anyway. But I kept getting weaker and weaker and weaker. And I messaged them. They gave me my money back, which was nice. I was like, I have cancer. I can't do it. And
yeah.
so that was unfortunate. But then I ran into this issue where I'm such a I work hard, I don't quit when stuff is hard. So I was so used to going to the gym no matter what. And there were some days where I felt awful after chemotherapy and I couldn't differentiate what the difference between like being lazy was and being smart. So I think sometimes I actually pushed it too much because I was like, no, no excuses. I'm going to go to the gym. It's good for me when really probably resting would have been better
Yeah,
for me.
recovery is important. That's when the body heals, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. But I no, I understand I we spoke about this when we did the coach's corner. I have, the busted foot. My foot is a mess. I'm probably going to be wearing this
Mhm.
crazy Frankenstein boot for the rest of my life. But I was the same way. Like I was like, how fast can I get in the gym? When can I get in the gym? And I'm in there on my little scooter, right? My little knee scooter, going around to lift stuff and you know what? It probably wasn't the best choice, but mentally it was the best choice.
Right.
Right? It let
Yeah.
me know that, hey, you know what? Yeah, I'm weak right now. I'm not as strong as I was, but I can do this.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that is so important. I think that we need whatever it is. Everybody has a different motivator, but whatever it is, we need to find what drives us. You
Mm-hmm.
know, we need to find what is going to make us put in the effort because
Mm-hmm.
effort is so important. I think that sometimes we look at a situation and we're just like, you know what? Whatever. I'm dealing with this and I'm gonna turn into myself and just sit on the couch and not do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't do us any good. It doesn't do us
No.
any good mentally, and it sure doesn't do us any good physically, right?
Right.
But so you dealt with that. You still were going to the gym, which is fantastic. Um, how did that transform as you came out of that and got better? What was that like?
So, I was dating a guy that was in the Air Force. So I was in the reserves, but when they found out I had cancer, well, I mean, I found out I had cancer. I told them. They said that I wasn't allowed to participate anymore. So they put me on this profile. I wasn't allowed to go to work. I was so
Huh,
upset because I was like, man, my coworkers are like my support. Like I want to be around them. I don't want to be like
yeah.
not communicated, but like kicked out,
Yeah,
So
no, you're right, man. We
yeah,
need those people around us. They
yeah.
drive
I was
us.
like, I want to be here, and I couldn't. So I was actually not like active for like 2 years because of cancer. So I was dating this guy who was active duty, and he got stationed in Minot. So that's how I
Oh,
ended up moving to Minot, and then he treated me awfully. So we broke up, and then I
oh.
met my husband at a powerlifting competition up here.
Yeah, and he's a good dude. I love your husband. I'm just telling you.
I love him
Yeah,
too. He's pretty great.
just his post, man. I mean, he's very personable. He's very about helping others. He's puts out good information. I like that about people. I like to
Yeah.
see people doing good things, right? So I have one experience at Minot. What'd you do in the Air Force?
Avionics on KC-135, so like aircraft maintenance.
Absolutely. So for those that don't know, KC-135 is an air refueler. So they're an air tanker. That's how our beloved jets get their fuel when they need to. So I was in ammo. Um,
Oh, cool.
the group I was with the Combat Ammunition Systems group, and what they did was they developed. This was so I'm much older than you, but this was back in the early 90s, 92, 93. They were developing the software for all of the ammunition dumps on base, where we used to use paper logs to sign in and sign out ammo. They
Uh-huh.
developed the computer program that went to the scan system, right? So where we started scanning in ammo and stuff. So I was in Minot. We were in Minot. They were implementing the software to the ammo sites at Minot. And when I was there, we were out by the flight line. It was super cold. And this guy, poor guy, I feel so bad for this guy. He was fueling an aircraft and he kept slipping and he took his glove off and the moisture stuck his fingers to the fuel the fuel connector.
No.
Yes, it was so bad. I was like, it was
Oh my.
miserable. I mean, it was a whole emergency type deal. But that's my one experience in Minot. It was cold as all get out. Old boy got his hand stuck to the
Oh
friggin'
my
fuel nozzle,
gosh.
fueling up an aircraft.
Oh, that's awful.
Oh, it's terrible, terrible. So, but yeah, that's awesome. So you were in avionics. That's good. I actually,
Yeah.
a very good friend of mine, his dad, or not his dad, his father-in-law, he actually flew KC-135s in the Air Force.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that's really good, man. That's awesome. So
Yeah.
you dealt with all this. You had this scare. You dealt with it like a champion. Get out of it. You said you were just getting started for your first powerlifting meet. How did that
Yeah.
transition when you were well and started training again? Why powerlifting? What was that about? You just want to lift big
Um,
heavy stuff or what?
well, the guy I was dating at the time in North Carolina, he actually he powerlifted. So he kind of introduced me to it and got me into it. And then I fell in love with it because when I first started going to the gym, it was mostly because I wanted to look good. And then, but I was never satisfied. That I feel like it kind of creates like this body dysmorphia when all you
We have
worry
it. We
about.
all have it.
Yeah.
Anybody that goes, I am always, my wife is with you right now. My wife cracks me up because I will come home from like a good shoulder day and I will literally be in the mirror. I'm like, and she's like, you have way too much ego. No, it's not that. She's like, you're vain. I'm like, it's not even that. I'm just trying to change things, girl.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I was
it's so
lifting for
funny.
that, but then I started lifting heavy, and that's what gave me confidence. That's what made
Yeah.
me feel really good about myself. And I stopped worrying that much about how I looked. And then I started focusing on my strength. And then I feel like if you lift heavy, you end up looking good anyway. So
That's
I
right.
got into lifting heavy. And then when I met my now husband, JW, he was into strongman. My coach at the time does strongman. He's a pro strongman. And so JW started teaching me how to do strongman, and now I do both. And I
Yeah.
love both. I really do.
Well, no, it's awesome. I loved it. Those videos, I'm telling you, if any of you, like I said, it's at Powerlifting Princess. You go on there. She has all kinds of posts from her last tournament, and it's really cool to watch. I love strongman, not to compete, but to watch. Like I'm a
Yeah.
big fan of Brian Shaw and Eddie
Hmm.
Hall. I love watching the world's strongest man. Because it is extreme powerlifting strength with functionality. I mean, it's guys
Right.
carrying, doing the farmer's walk, doing the Atlas stones. It's not just, hey, how much can I lift? And,
Yeah.
we talked about this on the coaches roundtable that you were on last month. I consider myself, like a body lifter, not a bodybuilder. I like to lift some heavy stuff.
Yeah.
It just makes me feel good. I like to
Yeah.
do it with reps. I like to do bodybuilding style workouts, but I like to see, okay, how heavy can I go for 8 reps? Right?
Right.
And if I get 6 or 5, that's okay.
Yeah.
So I like to lift heavier stuff. In fact, I have a couple of bodybuilding clients that were preparing for a show in November, and I go down to Pensacola, Florida, once a month to train with them in person.
Oh, cool.
And we were down there, and my partner Emma, she was there, and another guy, Tyler Brozier. He's actually going to come on the podcast next month. He's done an NPC bodybuilding show, and he's actually going to start doing so. He's very good at posing and getting the angles, and Emma's very good at showing angles, right? Like how do you hide your flaws, which is what a
Uh-huh.
bodybuilding show is all about, right? So he was down there, and we were doing a chest workout, and we get on, where we got warmed up, and we're doing this chest press machine, and Tyler's like, "Yeah, I bet you could do the whole stack," and I'm like, "Challenge accepted." So so, it's like the whole stack. It's a chest press machine. It said 300 pounds, but it's not actually 300 pounds because it's
Right.
a thing. But I put the pin on 280 and knocked out like 10 reps. And he's like, yeah, you could have done the whole thing.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
just
for
like,
sure.
challenge accepted. I'm just like, oh, we're going to
Yeah.
lift heavy stuff. Let's do it.
Right.
But I love it. I enjoy it. I like that. I like that 3D puffy muscle that reps give you, but
Yeah.
I do like to lift heavy stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just fun. Like I love doing it. I don't have any plans on stopping. JW, he's funny. He said he was like after this competition, he's like, I'm really gonna focus more on like agility and athletic training. And I was like, oh, okay. As soon as we finished this competition, the host, his name's Jason, he started talking about the winter one they're gonna do. And he was like, oh, just kidding. No, I have
Yeah,
to compete.
right. Yeah, right.
Like he
And
had so much
I,
fun. He was like, "No, I'm gonna compete again." I was like, "I knew it. You can't. How do you stop
yeah,
doing something like
I
you love this?"
I love your husband. He's a man's man. He's a big, strong dude. Well, he's my man crush. So we can't.
Yeah, we share a man crush.
That's right. He's no. I just like it, man. I what I love about your husband is, yeah, he's a big, strong guy, but he is so focused on his family, his children, you. And when you guys were on the coach's corner, the thing that impressed me the most was at the very end when he was talking about, hey, it's okay to be a man. It's okay to take care of your family. It's okay to be strong and provide. There's
Hmm.
nothing wrong with that. And in this country today, sometimes that gets overlooked.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
And it's never, I've had people ask me about this before. It's not that a woman is weak. It's not that she is a lesser person. I look at it this way. Men and women are very different genetically individuals.
Hmm.
And that is by the Lord's purpose. We each have a role. That does not make one role better than the other. That makes
Right.
us equal partners working towards the same goal.
Yep.
And a woman has a certain type of experience and just intuition that a
Hmm.
man does not have. And a man has a certain type of experience and intuition that a woman doesn't have. And together you are complete.
Yep.
Right? It's like that
Yep.
triangle. I don't know if you've ever seen that, like in Sunday school. They have the triangle, right? So there's a triangle, and this is man, and this is woman, and you are equals growing towards Christ,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
In your own way. Because honestly, men are not that compassionate. You look at the animal kingdom, men kill the children so they can mate again.
Hmm.
But women are very nurturing, very compassionate. Men have their um good good things and women have their good things, and together you make a whole and you're growing in the same direction.
Right.
And as long as you're doing that, is what I think the Lord wants, and that is what is going to make a happy home.
Yep. I talked to JW about this too. Like we both have strengths. Like I'm better at cleaning the house. I just am. Like if I clean a room and he cleans a room, mine's gonna look a little cleaner. But he is better at taking care of the lawn and taking care of the
Yeah,
backyard. Like he just is because he grew up doing landscaping and like he's better at that. So like
yeah,
we are both pretty good at identifying like who's better at doing what, and then we both do those things. And yeah, that makes the whole home function better. He is an amazing cook. Like when we're both doing the juice business now, but when he had his oil field job, I would cook dinner for him when he came home. And I was always like, this is not as good as when you do it. And he was like, oh, babe, it's so good. And I was like, I mean, it's good, but like when he cooks, it's like a 5-star chef, like 5-star restaurant. I'm so blessed to have him.
yeah.
So like
When
he usually cooks dinner.
Yeah, no, when you're with someone, you learn what they do well and what you do well. Like me, I do the
Right.
dishes, I do the laundry, and I cook.
Yeah.
Those are my roles. I'm very good at all of them. And I do the
Right.
laundry because I'm OCD like crazy. And if things aren't folded or hung up just correctly, they get wrinkled and I hate it. I'm like, I got this. Don't worry about it. I got it.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, we have our own things, right? So
Right.
obviously with
Yeah.
my boot, I can't cut the grass. I used to cut the grass back in the day, and I was anal about that too. Like I would cut it diagonal so in different directions so that it had like shading and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm just
Oh, that's
stupid about that
cool.
stuff, but now with the boot I can't do it, so we hire a guy. But still,
Yeah.
we all have our roles. The things I love about my wife is this woman, she would go through the ends of the earth to make me feel better. No matter what, she will support me. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. When I started this podcast, when I started the fitness company. She wasn't like, "Oh, you can't do that. I don't know if this is going to be a good idea." No, she was like, "Babe, I got you. I got your back. You go do what you think you need to do because you have never failed me now and you're not going to fail me in the future. You go do it." And because of that, like this woman, there's nothing I would not do for her. And she knows that. She knows that I would walk through fire to make her happy. And I get that from JW as well. I think that's why I
Yeah.
appreciate him because I just think that I know that he is that guy that would do whatever it takes to make sure his children and his wife are happy and protected, and I appreciate that.
Right. For sure. Yeah. And like we're talking about how sometimes you go through hard stuff
Yeah.
for a reason. I mentioned my ex didn't treat me very well. So he cheated on me like the whole time I was going through chemo and then got abusive in there too. And
Uh,
then when I being with JW, he's like the complete opposite. He is like a godsend. And I feel like I appreciate him so much more because I know what the other side
yeah.
looks like. So, and then in his last relationship, he didn't really feel very appreciated. So now I come in and I appreciate him so much. So it's interesting how you go through everything and it's for a reason because if I was in great relationships my whole life, then I might not really recognize one sent from God, you know? So
Yeah. Well, I think the experience of life makes us whole, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
we start out in life, there's all these missing pieces. And we go through these experiences. We go through trials and tribulation. And there's those that blame God for that and say that, oh, it's God's fault. Why would he do this? And there's others that learn from it and grow and recognize that, hey, we don't understand the Lord's ways. We do not understand his thought process, and we do not know
Hmm.
what is good for us. But he
Right.
does. And as we go through this stuff, these all these little pieces that get put in place, it's like putting together a puzzle. You
Yeah,
start out in life, you just got the border. But as you go through life, all the middle gets starts to get filled in. And
yeah,
we realize what we are and who we are, and it makes us whole.
yes, yeah.
So that's awesome. So hey, how did you had a strong woman competition? We talked about it a little bit ago. I saw the videos. You looked like you were kicking butt. How did you do in that competition?
So this is really interesting how this one went. And this is we need to recruit more middleweight strong women in North Dakota if anyone wants to come up here. So the last let's about the last strongman competition I did last year. I was the only middleweight woman that signed up. So I
Oh,
get there and they ended up just letting me compete against, there wasn't any heavyweight, but there was a super heavyweight girl. So they just put me against her. So I had some competition. Obviously, I did not win against her. So then this one comes around and I'm like, my family's coming. It's the first time they get to see me compete. I'm like training really hard because it's my first one after I had my baby. And I was supposed to go against two other girls. One girl didn't show up, and the other girl didn't make weight. So here I am left again as only middleweight. But there was two heavyweight girls. So I messaged the guy running it and I was like, hey, can I just hop into heavyweight and just compete with them? Because I was like, if not, I'm just being a little wimp. I don't want a participation trophy, you know.
yeah,
I worked really hard. So I did that and I got second. So I was really surprised. I
that's
like
good.
That was really cool. And it was fun. It was yeah,
You
I have
shouldn't
no
be
complaints.
surprised because I see the work you put in on your Instagram. I mean, you train hard. And, that effort, if you're training hard and putting in the effort, it's going to show. So,
Yeah, I love doing it. I'm already thinking about my next competition. They do one, I live in Williston and they do one here every spring and fall. And then there's one in Fargo, they do one every summer and winter. So there's like 4 competitions a year
That's
up
good.
here that we get to choose from. Yeah, and then
I,
JW and I compete together, so that's always fun.
yeah.
We get to train together, we motivate each other, we coach each other.
Does that ever get difficult though? Training together, prepping. Is that ever tough?
Surprisingly not, which
No,
I think is
good.
really cool because I know like sometimes couples can butt heads in the
Especially
gym.
bodybuilding though, but it's more about food fatigue. When you're
Yeah.
dieting that hard for a
Yeah.
bodybuilding show, it gets crazy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we get to eat a lot, so
Yeah,
we're
that's
pretty
good.
but I love that we get to do that together. Him and I work really well together, which is really cool. We never get sick of each other. We've worked together in the past, and now we own a business together, and we train together. We're parents together. We're pretty much together like all the time. We
No,
just
that's good, man. I love it. So my wife and I, we met and started dating in 1995.
that's when I was born.
We have shit. Now I feel old as hell. So yeah, we started dating. We got married 4 years at what when I think we got married in '99. But uh, it's crazy because I look at it now, right? Like there's some tough times in a relationship, especially the amount of years that we've been together. And there
Right.
was a rocky period. Started about, I don't know, 8, 9 years in, and from like, 9 years to 12, 13 years in. I mean, sometimes I think we didn't even want to look at each other. We just kind of passed each other in the hall. And I
Yeah.
think the kids kind of kept us together. It was a tough time. I wasn't
Mhm.
perfect. She was dealing with some things that I didn't understand. She's been diagnosed with severe depression and anxiety. And when she first was going through it, I didn't understand how you couldn't snap yourself out of it. Like I just didn't
Yeah.
understand that. I was like, everybody gets depressed, deal with it, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I was a jerk, and I didn't understand what she was dealing with, and she was going through this and trying to focus on it. And anyway, I ended up doing a lot of research about it and learning about it and all that stuff. But when I look at it now, like even those tough times were good times. I mean, they weren't the best of times, but they were good times because we learned a lot about each other. And
Mhm.
now it's like I cannot even imagine. I can't even think about this woman not being in my life. Like I can't even picture a life without her in it because
Right.
she means that much to me. I mean, I literally will wake up in the middle of the night. If I wake up in the middle of the night just rolling over, I will kiss her before I roll back over and go to sleep. I can't not do it. She is everything to me. And I just appreciate that so much about her, right? She
Right.
is there is no me. There is no this. There's nothing without her. Everything that I have ever done that's been successful has her, the driving force behind it, not me.
Mhm.
So, and I see that with you guys. I love it. I'm telling you what, I love your Jack and Juice posts. They're great. They're fun. They're good pictures. It's done well. I'm telling you, it makes me thirsty every time I see it. I'm like, man, I wish I could get
Good.
some of that.
Yeah.
You're doing a great job with that. So, what's in the
Thank you.
future, girl? What you got coming up? Are you going to do a show or a
Like
competition?
yeah, I'm kind of on the fence. I'm kind of trying to decide. Well, there's one in the winter that I really want to do. The gym I go to here is Full Circle Strength Systems, and they just announced they're doing this like online qualifier where you like send in videos. So I'm kind of
Okay.
like on the fence of if I want to do that or not, or if I want to do the other one. So I can't go 6 months without doing something.
Yeah.
So I will be
No,
doing
that's
a
good.
competition.
You just don't know
Powerlifting,
what yet.
yeah, powerlifting isn't as much on my radar at the moment. I got to build up some strength. So since I had both my babies like back to back, it hurt my SI joint. So
Yeah.
my squats and my deadlifts which are both in powerlifting, went
Yeah.
down. And my squat was pretty high. At my last competition, I squatted 350. So I don't really want to compete again until I get around there.
Yeah.
So powerlifting I'll probably do another one next year. And then strongman either the end of this year or January 27th is the one in Fargo. And that the host, his name's Jason. He owns Edgar's House of Pain. They call it EHOP.
Okay.
He's a great host. Like he owns that gym and he hosts the strongman events, and he's really good because he makes everyone feel welcome. I ask a lot of questions and he never seemed annoyed by one of them. So
No,
that
that's
was
good. You
great.
gotta ask, man. I tell my clients that all the time because, um, sometimes it's almost like they're scared. Like I shouldn't ask this question or don't or,
Yeah.
and I tell them like, especially when I first sign a client, I'm like, listen, you're gonna have lots of questions, especially in the first 2 to 3 weeks. Just call me. Call,
Right.
text. Do not hesitate.
Mm-hmm.
Those first few weeks with a client, I will spend, that's when I earn my money, right? Because it's literally 2, 3 times a day sometimes. What about this? What
Yeah.
about that? Can you help me with this? Can you? And I'm like, don't, and I'm so sorry to call. Don't be sorry
Right.
because it's brand new to you. Ask those questions because that's how I know what you're thinking. That's how I know how to direct
Right.
you and guide you. If you
Right.
don't ask the questions, I don't know. And typically, if I sign a client, and I don't hear too much from them in the first couple weeks, I know they're getting ready to cancel. I know they're done,
Right.
right? Because
Right.
they're not into it.
Yeah.
They're just not. And the ones that
Right.
ask the questions, those are the ones that have success. And I tell them right from the get, I'm like, listen, you blow me up at first. I said, after the first couple of weeks, it'll be much easier. You'll have that routine.
Mm-hmm.
You'll understand what's going on. But for these
Right.
first 2 weeks, I mean, blow me up. I got you. Don't sweat
Yeah.
it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, that's good. I'm glad you're asking questions. That's good. So what's up with Jack and Juice? What's the future hold for that? I know you guys just said you started doing slushies, which is
Smoothies.
awesome, or smoothies, which is
Smoothie. Yeah. So
awesome. I'm
smoothies will
excited
be
about that.
yeah. Did I tell you how we like started Jack and Juice?
I think a little bit last time, but let's fill them in right now. Tell me.
Yeah. So April 30th was our first opening day. So May, June, July, almost 3 months we've been open and
Yeah,
it's grown so much. So when I started, I was like, I am just going to make juice at home on the weekends and do deliveries like once a week. And my first week, I was like, I hope I sell like 100 bottles, right? First week being open. I sold 250 for my
nice,
first weekend. And
nice.
I was like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of juice. So JW helped me. And we did it all. And I was like, this is too much for me to do by myself. Like I didn't know it was going to be like this. And he was like, well, let's do it together. So he quit his oil field job after that first week and said,
Wow.
we're going to do this. So we started doing that. And then each week I started upping my minimum order for deliveries because it was just getting out of hand. It was so
Yeah,
much. And then I started doing wholesale to a couple stores in town. Then the health department so kindly let me know that wholesaling unpasteurized juice is illegal. So they said, you can't do
yeah,
that. And I was like, oh, okay. But they didn't know that either because they're the ones who told me to get my wholesale license. And when I was like in the
yeah.
middle of the process, they were like, oh, wait, never mind. They said, you have to get a storefront. So there's a meal prep place in town that I was doing the wholesale for. And she was like, why don't you just move in here with me? I have a kitchen. You can just use this as your storefront. So
Nice.
that's what we did. And thank God, because the last weekend, JW and I were juicing, we juiced for 18 hours one day. And I was like, there's literally not enough time in the day
Yeah,
to
there's
make
not.
it. I had no idea. So yeah, now we're doing that. And we just keep having to upgrade our juicer
That's
more and
good.
more. And we finally just invested in like the one of the biggest juicers they have. So the juicer we have now makes like 30 bottles an hour. And
Now you're
we
gonna
sell
need
out.
two.
Yeah. We sell out every day. Almost every day
Yeah,
we sell out. So we ordered a
that's
new
good.
juicer. This one's supposed to make 200 to 400 an hour. So game changer.
What's the plan? How you planning on outlaying this nationwide? Because you need to. Like I said, I want
I,
some.
I get asked that a lot. I get people asking if we can ship it all the time.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that I thought this was going to be something I did on the weekends to like
Well, no, the
disregard.
FDA is getting involved when you're shipping it.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's
Right.
a
Yeah.
whole big project. But
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
telling you right now, just from what I know about you, I am sure the quality is through the roof. I love what you're doing with the it's not just juice, you know, some of it has all your like essential aminos and different things in it,
Yeah, we do
right?
add-ins, and I've never
Yeah.
seen a food place do
Yeah, you're
that. So,
doing that. And so, like, you know, there's going to come this point in time when, you know, it's going to be Valerie, the multimillionaire businesswoman that I'm going to try to invite on the podcast, who isn't going to give me the time of day because she's
oh
running this
no.
corporation. But you know what I'm saying, right? I mean, I see this blowing up. I see Jack and Juice nationwide. Are you guys thinking about, like, are you putting in the steps to get that done?
So we're definitely growing with the demand. It's hard to know where it's going to go because when we started, I had some people tell me they're like, this could be really big. And I was like, nope, no thanks. I'm good. Nope, just a little thing on the
Yeah.
weekends. And we've just been growing with it. So
No,
yeah,
it's gonna grow. It'll
yeah,
grow as big as you want it to grow. That's what I'm telling you right now.
right, right.
Because people
Yeah,
need good quality products. They do. I mean, you look at the supplement industry, uh, you know, there's people out there that put out just crap. And there's people that
yeah.
put out good products. And those
Mm-hmm.
good products take on and everybody wants them. And I know
Right.
you with the effort that you guys are putting in and what you're doing. It's a good quality product and people want that. They want it and it like I
Right.
said, it'll grow as big as you want it to grow.
Yeah. I think one thing we do is really cool is like we know how to make healthy stuff taste good.
Yeah,
And I think that's why people freak out about it.
that's awesome. That's really
Yeah.
good. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
awesome.
It's great. I love it. I'm so excited. The smoothies, we're waiting until we get our new juicer so we have time to
Yeah.
also do the smoothies. But I think my little town I live in is going to freak out about these
Oh
smoothies.
yeah, I'm almost willing to take a trip to North Dakota, not in the wintertime, but you know,
Yeah,
just to
not in
go
the
up there
winter.
and try your juice. Be like, hey, why are you going to North Dakota? Oh, I just want to try Jack and Juice.
Yeah, just need some juice. Yeah.
Excuse me, that's awesome. No, I'm excited for your future. I see big things.
Thanks. My
So,
grandpa passed away a couple years ago, but he always told me, he's like, I see so much potential in you. Like he would say that. He's always like, you're gonna do great things. And I told my dad, I was like, man, I wish my grandpa was here so I could show him
yeah,
what I'm doing now. Cause
show
like
what
he
you,
knew.
that's awesome.
He knew. Yeah.
That's
So
awesome. You know, I often say, and I've said this many times, that there is literally greatness within each and every one of us. You
hmm
just have to find a way to untap it. It's there, you know? And the biggest problem I think that people have is most people look at failure as a bad thing. And failure is an option because failure is what teaches us, it's what moves us down the path. But some people, for whatever reason, they fail and they fold.
hmm
And you need
Right.
to fail and grow. And that
Right.
is the difference, right? Because that failure, if you sit back and go, okay, I failed. Why did I fail? What was the problem? I think a lot of people have trouble looking in the mirror and going, "That was the problem. I messed up here, I messed up
Right.
there." They want to say it
Right.
wasn't my fault that I failed. It was this or that or this outside influence
Yeah.
or any of that stuff. And 9 times out of 10, that can be the case, but 9 times out of 10, no, it's right here. We
Mm-hmm.
fail because we messed up. And if you can't look yourself in the mirror and figure out what it was, I didn't work hard enough, I didn't do this, I didn't do that, whatever the case is, if you can't assess that and grow from it, that's what limits your success. Not the greatness that's within you, because we all have divinity within us. We're God's children. So we're
Right.
divine by nature. We just need to find out how to unleash it.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way to unleash it is to be humble and learn from our mistakes and continue to progress. And I see you guys doing that. It's awesome. It's awesome. I'm excited for what the future holds for both of you, for you and JW, because it's going to be
Thanks.
great. I'm just
Yeah.
glad to say I knew her win. Oh, that's awesome. Well, hey, it has been a joy getting to know you and that coaches. Oh, by the way, hey, probably next month sometime, I'm going to be doing another coach's corner on the mental aspects of change. And I don't know if you know who Jesse Flowers is, but he was a Axe and Sledge demo crew member. He's now part of the Thavage team, Thavage, Chris Bumstead's team. So he's
Uh-huh.
part of that team, and he recently went back to school. I believe he got his psychology degree. I could be mistaken, but he has really focused on. So he's said this on the podcast, so I know I can say it now. He's an ex addict. He was an addict.
Mm-hmm.
He got out of that, got into fitness, changed his life around. He's a supervisor in the gas industry in Texas. He trains clients, and he's gone back and got his degree in psychology. And he uses his degree in psychology to help addicts overcome the mental aspects of change and how to focus their addiction in healthy areas,
Very cool.
right? And that is to me when we go to make a change, whether it be physically or mentally, the mental aspect, even of physical change, whether it be dieting, working out, just a change in our work ethic, all those things are so important, and that's usually the weakest link. So
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to do a coach's corner on the mental aspects of change, like another round table. Would you be interested in joining us for that? You and JW?
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Okay, good. I'd love to have you. Matt's gonna come on too. You met Matt before,
Yeah.
and we're gonna bring Jesse on with his expertise. I just think it'd be nice for more people to pick Jesse's brain because he's
Yeah.
really good at that aspect of coaching, and I
Yeah.
think it would be a benefit for all of us. So.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And JW and I always love just learning and learning new ways to, better ourselves. So we love learning from other people.
That's
That'd be
awesome.
good.
Yeah, because that'll be good. I'll get you guys some dates, but any last words? Anything you want to tell the people out there about what you got going on, or just a little bit of advice?
Um, I forgot to mention it earlier, but we were talking about like roles and stuff like husband and wife. And did
Yeah.
I tell you that we did home births with our
Yes,
babies?
you did. You did.
Yeah.
I love that. That
So
was great. I told you
yeah,
my oldest daughter, she was a
is a
practicing doula.
doula,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, so cool. So that was a moment where we worked together really well. And I feel like I was very much in my feminine role and he was very in his masculine role, which I feel like in our society here, where hospital birth is the norm, men aren't as comfortable taking on their masculine role in the birth process. They kind of take a step back and like let the doctors do their thing, and they don't get to like be there the way they're supposed to be there. So that was one way he really showed me and like stepped up, and like he was with me every step. He didn't leave my side at all. He was bringing me water, he was massaging my arms, he was helping me get comfortable, he was bringing me snacks, he was making me eat even though I didn't want to eat, to make sure I had energy. Like he did everything. He took care of the kids, got them where they needed to go. He did everything. When he talks to other men about doing that, they all the ones that he's talked to, for the most part, they're like, oh no, I didn't want any part of that. Like I didn't want to be around it. I didn't. He's like, you're a man. that's your role. You're supposed to be there and you're supposed to protect her, because the more you learn about birth is like the woman needs to feel safe and protected so that she can relax to give birth, because if you're not
Yeah,
relaxed you tense up and it slows everything down. So the man's role is to literally take care of everything around her so that she can just focus on what she's doing, and like he
yeah,
really did that. And I'm so thankful I have a partner that was comfortable in his masculine role in that situation so I could focus on mine. So
no,
yeah, I
Valerie,
wanted to
that's
mention that.
that's
I felt like
awesome.
I needed to say that in this. It kind of just went with it. So
No, that's awesome. That makes me love him even more. He's like I said, I love your husband. He's a good dude, man. He's a good
he
dude.
is
I wish you guys were closer. I'd love to hang out with him and train with
right.
him.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. So, but hey, I appreciate you. I appreciate your family and all that you put out there. I mean, you are bringing good things to people. Your
Thank you.
Instagram, like I said, it's at Powerlifting Princess. Uh, she does a great thing. And also Jack and Juice at Jack and Juice. Check that out. Please like and subscribe. We love all of our listeners. We're grateful for all that you're doing to follow us and support us in this channel, because we're really just trying to bring good information out there and hopefully help someone along the way. So with that, I just have to say, you guys get out there and work hard, peoples, and remember, don't forget to smile. Thanks so much for watching or listening. Remember, don't forget to like and subscribe. You can find us on Facebook at Work Hard Peoples LLC or Instagram at Work Hard Peoples LLC. You can also find us on our website at workhardpeoples.com. Have a great day or night. Don't forget to smile.